Welcome back to another episode of Crunching Your Growth, where we dive deep into the strategies, insights, and stories behind some of the most successful entrepreneurs and business leaders. I'm your host, Phil Masiello, and today we have an absolute powerhouse in the world of branding, media, and business growth. Joining us, Mike Koenigs. You've probably heard of him. Mike's a serial entrepreneur, angel investor, best-selling author, media master. He's helped some of the biggest names in the business build their brands and create influence. He scaled their company to massive success. He's had 4 successful business exits, including selling companies to publicly traded firms. He's worked with legends Tony Robbins, Sullivan, Gay Hendricks, and today he's here to share his experience and teach us how we can amplify our influence, elevate a brand, and scale our business like we've never done before. So if you're looking for actionable insights on standing out in today's crowded market and positioning yourself as an authority and accelerating your business growth, you're in the right place. Now, we were having a conversation before we came on about AI, and I'm sure we're going to get into it while we talk because he's fascinated with it as I am in terms of productivity and what it can do for us. So let's bring Mike in and let's hear what he has to say. Mike,
Bill,
welcome.
how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Really, thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to be here.
Total pleasure. Total pleasure. No, I loved our first conversation. We were just talking about more of this. Holy cow, I can't believe this is happening to us right now with AI. It's completely crazy.
It is completely crazy, and it's exciting, it's crazy, and it's invigorating. And sometimes it gets a little overwhelming because you think, where should I start, or where am I started, or what am I using? I mean, certainly we're using it for content, we're using it for imagery, we're using it for video editing, we're using it for analysis and data analysis. But now, I mean, things are just happening so fast and changing so fast.
Yeah. I'll give you an example of something I mentioned before we began today. I spent the day with Dave Asprey, who now has Danger Coffee. He's best known for Bulletproof Coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And we were just going through, and he was asking, okay, how can we just more rapidly create content and promotions and marketing for our company? And I said, well, let me show you something. So we used a combination of the latest ChatGPT, which as of this moment is 401 with deep research, which is really, really smart.
Right.
And we also used Notebook LM, which is Google's tool and we uploaded his entire body of work, like all of his books, all of his content. And then I had it create a little commercial in the voice of the Harmon Brothers. And if you're familiar with Harmon Brothers, they've done the purple, potpourri, the purple mattress. They're funny as heck.
Yeah.
So I had to compose this commercial and then a tool called InVideo. So I just did a whole bunch of nerd stuff here. I apologize in advance. And it produced an absolutely hysterical video about Danger Coffee. And it had kings and queens and knights drinking coffee, and this knight riding a coffee bean rocket. But it was really good. I mean, like, it had some flaws. I mean, there was some like weird faces and stuff. But overall, you look at it, and Dave just said that would have cost a minimum of $50,000, probably $250,000, and he saw it get made in less than 20 minutes.
Yeah,
that's the world we're living in.
Yeah, amazing. It's amazing. Is he going to use that as a?
He is. Yeah, we ended up creating four commercials. So I used another an app called AI Video that you can train a visual representation of yourself. So one of them I trained, it could do Dave's voice, but not his face. The other one could do his face, not his voice.
Right.
But yeah, and then we could go in and swap that out. But he said, that's good enough. I'm going to post it and get some feedback. So he's one of those guys who's willing to take a risk, and why not?
So you started with ChatGPT. You took what did you do that for? What did you use that part for?
Well, what I typically do is I'm gonna flip it on you just a little bit, because the first thing I usually do when I'm working with someone is I'll load up their entire body of work in a tool like Notebook LM from Google, which is free.
Right.
And the reason they just upgraded it now is you can upload up to 300 individual pieces of content.
Wow.
Although there's a workaround where you can sync to Google Docs. So I've taken Google documents where I've been working with medical professionals, and I'll take their entire body of research and fit that in one Google Doc.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. So we're talking about tens, if not hundreds of thousands of pages of content. And mind you, this is all of Dave's books, a large volume of his social media content. So it learned his voice. And that's where we started out from. And then from there, I said, I had ChatGPT or Notebook provide me with a good blob of his content. So like an overview of Danger Coffee. And then I used that and put it into ChatGPT to create the script. ChatGPT writes better scripts than Notebook, but Notebook does a better job of holding massive volumes of content.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then you took the jump from there to InVideo, and you took the script, put it through InVideo. InVideo created the content. I got you.
Yep.
Yeah. That was the part I was.
Yeah. And if you want, I could attempt. I don't know if we can share. Can we share sound when we share videos on this app or not?
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty sure we can.
Well, let's just see really fast if it works. Yeah, it says also share tab audio. So I'll make that work and grab a window. Here it is. You just tell me if you can't hear it, but I'll play the first part. All right. Well, let's see if it works.
The battle for a better morning is upon us.
No audio or audio?
You want coffee?
Have an audio. Yeah.
A warlord, but tastes like victory in a cup? You want Danger Coffee? I've been your friendly neighborhood biohacker for years, but did you know I used to sling coffee under another banner? Sure, it made me a household name, but that was just the warm-up act. Now, I've ascended to the throne with Danger Coffee, the roast that's here to conquer your brain fog once and for all. Danger Coffee is loaded with essential minerals. 50-plus trace elements scientifically tested, purified, and blessed by 7 coffee gods who had to sign NDAs. Yeah, they're under my power now. Regular coffee, it's moldy, murky, and about as potent as a soggy piece of bread. That's right, competitor A. I'm looking at you. Look, no offense, but if you're gonna name your coffee after a supposed superpower, maybe make sure it doesn't taste like the inside of a used sock. It's tested and proven to be mold-free. Like, really mold-free. Not we kind of looked at it and shrugged, but NASA-level thorough, because I know you only deserve the best. Also, it's got so many minerals, your body might just send you a thank you text. Danger Coffee. Dangerously good. Now, in the 48 Laws of Power, All
right, so just I'll stop it there, but one of the things that happened that was really funny is I said, now use as many principles from Robert Cialdini's persuasion and persuasion books and incorporate as many of the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene as possible. Now, I didn't explicitly say, and don't mention them explicitly, just use them, but it ended up incorporating them. And it ended up making the little show even funnier because it's kind of tongue in cheek, like, hey, I'm manipulating you, but I'm manipulating you because I'm being transparent. And the whole thing just goes on. And out of it, Dave pulled out probably 6 or 8 super useful hooks for his brand, and he is a great branding guy. But he's like, I'd never thought of that before. So, the bottom line is it made some really, really funny characters, animations, and it made me realize we're so close to high quality Hollywood content.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly very it's a great piece. You could use it, right?
Yeah.
So it's fantastic.
Yep.
Well, we went down this path of AI, and I mean, it's fascinating, but it's great. I think it's really interesting. I like the pattern that you did to get there, and I do agree. ChatGPT does build scripts pretty well. We use it for short form video a lot. We do some things for long form video. The other thing we do once we get the script is we ask it to sort of lay out the scenes, and it'll give you an idea of the scenes. It won't do a good job of sort of creating them, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm with you 100%. I'm going to give it a shot personally. I'm going to let you know how it comes out following your pattern of what
Yeah.
you did and how you went from notebook to chat to in video.
I would
Yeah.
say the what's important. I tell everyone this, and you're in the midst of it right now, so you know this is true. But just because you tried something a week ago or 2 weeks ago, it doesn't mean it's still the same. I'll have someone say,
Oh,
"Yeah,
yeah.
I tried this. It's no good." And it's like, did you try it this week? I mean, Grok, the new version of Grok came out, and yeah, it's pretty impressive. It's like, dang.
Well, what I found is I had a guy say to me, "Oh, I tried ChatGPT. It was terrible." And I said,
Yeah.
"Well, what was the prompt? Show me the prompt that you used."
Yeah.
It's like 2 lines saying, "Do this for me." Well, if you're not telling it what you want and what the expectation is and what you want to get out of it, and what's more important in some cases is telling it what you don't want it to do, right?
Yeah.
So your prompt is really everything.
Yes.
So-
Yeah. And now what has happened in the past week again is with the very latest version of ChatGPT. I could even fire it up. Do you want me to do a little nerd demo for you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I have.
I'll fire up a new instance of one of the tabs here. So here we go. I think this is the right one. Tell me if you see that. Okay. Yep, this is showing the correct one. So you should see the ChatGPT Pro. And I'm gonna do something, and I'll do the same kind of thing with you, which is I want you to create a Harmon Brothers style comedy commercial about Phil. And I'm going to put this, I'm going to put you in here, and I'm going to feed in, you'll notice, your website, okay? Do deep research on him and open up with 3 interesting, quirky, and controversial things that he talks about or thinks about or is known for, and then tell our audience why they should pick him over all of his competitors and make fun of his competitors directly. Okay. So, and it'll come back. Here's what I love is the clarifying questions it asks are generally so good now that they teach you something about how to think well. So it's really teaching you some fantastic first principles thinking. So I'll just say we are targeting entrepreneurs and brands, and we want this to be exaggerated and funny and a little edgy. And we can use made up names of real competitors so as to not get sued. And I want you to combine some of Phil's expertise going back as long as 20 years, including 1-800-Shavers.
Razors.
Okay. So that should be good enough, right?
Yeah.
So what I've found in this process is I just have this fantastic creative companion who's busy doing what it's doing and helping me think better. And what I'll typically do then is I might now open up another window in Claude, which just got a serious IQ upgrade 24 hours ago, that now writes code like no one's business. And I might even open up 2 instances of a ChatGPT window and work on 2 simultaneous scripts. So I did one with Dave. That was more of the kind of a goofy knockoff that I wanted to feel a little bit like the Renaissance or a Monty Python bit. And then the other one, we did one that was like a cyberpunk thing because Dave loves cyberpunk. So what I'm thinking about, Phil, is just how, nowadays with how you're doing television and you're going to all these app-based videos and media services. Well, shoot, now you can do super hyper targeted, customized content.
Oh yeah.
Based upon the makeup, right? I assume you can deliver all that. How does that work?
Well, you're using when you're doing connected TV, you're using a demand side platform, right?
Okay.
So you're hyper targeting, right? So I'm saying, okay, I can set up an instance where I say, let's say that I have a new gym equipment, new exercise thing, right? New exercise product. But it's different for women than it is for men. And it's different for older men than it is for younger men, right? I can set up the content for younger men. I can target those younger men, right? And that's going to deliver this content. And even when we remarket online, we'd have different pieces of visual and video content. And then for the older guys, right, we could have a different piece of content. And for the women, same thing. So when you're in there, there's no end to how many pieces of content I can put in and tag it for which group, right? Whereas traditional television, you would be overlapping, right? You would go in and traditional television, you're really targeting the channels, not the people. So because you're targeting people, and because connected TV knows who those people are and they know everything about them, I could say down to the zip code, this is the content I want to show here. This is the content I want to show here. So you're 100% right.
I love it. And we're back in the old days, it'd be like, okay, you'd have to wait until the show that had a certain demographic, psychographic was watching that show. And you'd pay a premium if it were live or first run or whatever. And nowadays it's like, all right, where's the concentration?
I got so frustrated when we were running television ads because we had media buyers that were saying, this content, you need to target these channels and you need to do this. And we were spending a ton of money. And then I met, I don't know, you may know Kevin Harrington. And,
I know him well.
You do? Yeah.
Yep.
So I met him down in Florida. This is a long, long time ago. And he gave me a piece of advice. And he said, it doesn't matter the channel. What matters is the spot cost. And he said, I don't really care. I'll show my product, on any channel, as long as I get the spot cost right. And so I fired the media buying agency and I started doing it myself. Google had a product at the time. I can't remember the name of it, but you could go.
I remember what it was. Yeah. They used to spell spot. It was like spot ads or something like that. It was the early version before there were video ads.
Yeah. Before there were, and you could go in and do it yourself. TV. Yeah. You could go in and do it yourself. And what I got was I started running spots on Fox Sports 2. I had a $30 sell price. And what I really wanted to do was sell at least, 2 on a spot. The spots were costing me $50 and they were 30-second spots for $50.
Yep.
And all I really wanted to do was sell 2 units. Right.
Yeah.
And so as long as I hit that number, I was doing fine. And then what started happening was because I started buying so much that I started to get freebies. And then it drove my effective cost down even further. And so it started to become profitable. So then I started looking for other inexpensive places to go. And it worked on probably 90% of them. 10% it probably didn't, but it was. And so since then, that was my approach with DRTV and regular TV. But but in today's environment, you've got all these OTT channels, right? And you're an Amazon Fire TV and you've got, Roku, etc. But the fact that somebody is logged in, you go into Netflix. So now Netflix knows who you are. They know that Mike, and they know everything about you because you're who you are. And so they know that you're watching this particular show at this particular time. And
Yeah.
so you're in there watching, and I say, okay, well, I want to deliver to Mike, this particular product. And that's what
Yep.
makes it interesting. And then even if you don't take action on the first view, I know that you saw it. So now
Yep.
when you get online the next day, I'm going to start hitting you with short form videos and static image ads to remind you that you saw it. And usually you'll start to convert pretty well. And we start to see, 8x, 9x, 10x ROAS.
It's freaking crazy.
I know.
The old school television agency folks are spinning in their graves right now because they just didn't, who saw it coming and who is going to let the control go of the, and I distinctly remember I didn't participate in this. I distinctly remember the very, very drug, cocaine, and alcohol fueled agency days.
Oh, yeah.
When we got acquired. And I remember seeing these people. I'm like, I can't believe you're still alive. I can't believe it. But no, it's just totally nuts. So here's just so you can see this. This thing came back and it did a bunch of it did create a script, but it's long. Okay.
Yeah.
And they really kind of went into like what made you great. So it did a bunch of research first. So it did your entrepreneurial background. Talked about 800 Razors, Raw Beauty, Metro Marketing, Daily Market, current role, quirky, controversial. So you had the $1 million beard stunt. Yep, that's great. Celebrity brand father. This is good. Humor and entrepreneurship. Ups, downs, and humorous side of entrepreneurship and startups. Good. Keeping it real, keeping it fun. Straight shooting doer. Yep. Key differentiators. So all this is good. Now we have to find like, how are we going to make it funny? This is fun. Big box agency. Nobody's okay. All right. So there's good stuff in there, but they didn't really make it funny. And right now, this is one thing that I didn't expect. Once in a while, this thing it's gonna choke. So I'm gonna do something like when I get stuck like this, I'm gonna take this. I'll copy the stuff it gave me, and I'll go over to Claude. I'll start a new chat, and I'll paste in all the stuff that we just had from the other tab, and I'll get my original
Prompt.
Yeah, and I'll bring it over here. So I want you to create a Harmon Brothers style comedy commercial about the attached content. About the attached content with Phil and open up. All right. So let's just see. And I'm going to just say, 2 minute, because it won't do it in one. Maybe it could do it. I'll do 90 second. See what we can do at 90 seconds. So this is typically what I like to do is anytime I run into a little bit of I'm just use more talent. If you got 10 good consultants around.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then from here, there it is. I'll hit copy. And then I'm going to bring up AI video, or invideo.ai rather. This is my other next best friend. I'll say create new. I'm going to just paste this in. And I'm not going to say Harmon Brothers. Sometimes these things decide they're going to choke
Yeah.
when I'm using some copyright reference. And one of the things we could and can do is we could train it with your voice. I did that
Yeah.
with Dave yesterday. It's pretty simple. And it takes, this process here can take anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes, depending on the length. But what I love about it, it's 100% generative video, audio, music, all synthesized with character consistency. So what threw off all these things up until about 3 months ago is if you're trying to make something, the face of all the people changed, even though they're supposed to be the same character. It's just like, yuck.
Yeah.
And I've been making what I would consider really good first draft commercials in less than a half an hour. Okay, here you can see, we can say realistic, generative media. And now we have to choose. Do you want to target entrepreneurs, small business owners, or e-commerce enthusiasts?
Small business owners.
Okay. And then YouTube or LinkedIn?
LinkedIn.
Okay, great. So we got that. And then if we wanted to, we could edit the prompt and give it some additional tweaking. But at this point, it gets to work and it's going to analyze the script. Now, because we sent it something really specific, it's going to take it. But if I would have instead adapted that into just a prompt and fed in some raw data, it would have done a really good job of synthesizing it. I fed it some absolute, nothing more than a transcript and a fairly vague prompt. For example, for my wife who's doing a new podcast, it's called The Bad Mom Show, and it's all about being a bad mom and dealing with mental health of our kids.
Right.
And this thing, it's fully looked at her entire background as a humanitarian, her background and all of her work, and it was like it would have taken me two weeks to write the same script.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Wow. That's you shouldn't. I've had challenges with children and mental health, and I understand, your wife's position. She thinks she's a bad mom, but it's not. It's got nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It's you shouldn't beat yourself up over it. I mean, or she shouldn't. But I guess the podcast is probably a way for her to sort of come to terms with that.
Yeah. Well, for her, it has more to do with when she started being vulnerable.
Yeah.
You always find the first person in the room who's vulnerable starts an avalanche of honesty and deep, meaningful connection. And that's really what her point is. It's she's past the shame part. She's past the I did something wrong or I'm bad. And that's part of the journey. And I think, you and I have had enough of a conversation offline at this point. One of us said something first and then boom, that created a bond. And I think that's really what this game's all about, is how do we create more intimacy and trust and have the real conversations that need to be had.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. It's very difficult, especially when something happens to your children, because you always reflect on it as, did I do something wrong? But, it's just like anything, right? It's just like a business, or it's just like you have to support it, and you have to figure out how, get it the tools that it needs and continue to move it forward. It's not anybody's fault. And I do think that I've been to enough therapy sessions to see parents almost, internalize it and beat themselves up over it and all that. And that doesn't do any good, because your kids need you, and no matter what they're going through. So
yeah,
I certainly understand your wife and what she's going through.
Yeah.
And you.
No, hell of a ride. So I'll let you know when our video is done here. It's just cranking in the background, noodling around. So if you watching this right now are going, whatever happened to it? It's like, it's still processing, but before we're done, we'll have something to show you. It'll be fun. We're We're gonna see what Phil's new personal commercial it looks like, and see if it's funny. I don't know. I don't know if it's funny, but
I love how you're geeking out over this. I really do, because it's the other morning I did something. I wanted to create a short form video, and I started down a path like you, and I had to be on a call at 9 a.m. And the next thing I knew, and I started at 7 a.m. and it's 9:30 and I'm still in it, and people are hitting me up, and I'm not even paying attention because I was so into it. And I missed the call. I missed the call. So I
oh
had to
no.
make some apologies, but yeah, I just got into it just like you do. It's
Yeah.
you can really get wrapped up in it, because one piece will lead you to a second piece, and that second piece you say, oh, I can improve this, and then you improve that, and then you get to the third piece and you go, I can improve that, and you're moving along until you get the final product, and you're going, oh my God, this is great. And the next thing you know, you look up and it's 3 hours later, at least for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. That's that is the warning I gave to Dave, because he said, I want to create apps. And I go, are you sure you want to create apps? I go, I'll show you how to create apps, but you're going to wake up from it 14 hours later and you're going to go, why the hell was I trying to create apps? And that's the big why.
Yeah. No, I love it for creating content or even generating ideas. You hit on this before, because you said, it helps you in your thinking. And
Yeah.
I find, because we deal with so many different types of companies and so many different types of products, that you forget how to, think. You don't want to do the same thing for everybody. And sometimes just idea generation, which we've been doing for, a couple of years now, it's great for that. And it's great to help you think and you go, oh, this is cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'll go back to the example, spending a day in, at this point, I don't consider it a brag if it's true. So I've spoken in front of tens of thousands of business owners and founders and taught them how to use AI in their businesses. And everyone right now, the big focus is, oh, I can't wait until we've got agents that can do all this stuff, and then out of the side of their mouth, so I don't have to hire more employees.
Right.
Look, and deal with all the muck of scaling and all the breakage that inevitably happens. And I get it. Here's the most important thing. When I talk to some of the most talented people I know who are exceptional at their jobs, and this is founders and employees,
Yeah.
and I say, what exactly do you spend the majority of your time doing each day? Most of them can't answer that question. They can't. They just don't know. It's sort of like, well, I'm stuck in the middle doing middle stuff. It's like communicating this to this person, so this person, and this can get done, and this can, and they've never taken a systematic look at their lives. And unless you have a workflow and a standard operating procedure, an agent can't sit around and guess.
Yeah.
So with what you just said about the beauty of AI, I noticed as soon as I started using it, and at first it was like arguing with a 3-year-old with amnesia, which is the double plus. Okay. So it's sort of like you can get their attention for about 20 seconds. And then as soon as the shining object or a cat runs, they're out of here and they forgot the conversation you're just having with them. Right.
Right.
That was early AI. Now it's at least got some persistence and some context.
Yeah.
But that doesn't help you if the humans you're around we're really learning, I think, about how little we think and about how few real outcome-based goals we live with in order to accomplish these things. And I think one of the great benefits of the next generation of AI is it'll be a creative companion to help us stick to our big picture outcomes and goals we really want, and do that mushy middle.
Yeah, it's an interesting way of thinking about it. Yeah. I mean, I do think that, when you start reading about what they're working on, or what, some of the bigger AI companies are working on, trying to get it to think better. I mean, it already thinks, but it's starting to think better. Can it become a companion to help and answer questions all day long, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a very simplified and streamlined way, right? To help business owners, optimize and maximize what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing.
Yeah. I think getting back to here's what I'm learning along that line is anytime I get bad output from the AI, I look back and it's like, well, I wasn't clear.
Yeah.
And I know when I'm not clear with my wife about what my expectations are, here's our constant battle. It'll be and like we don't fight about anything, but we do have little disagreements. Here's what it is. I know I'll say I'll be ready to go in 3 minutes.
Right.
Okay. And I am ready to go in 3 minutes. And then I'll be waiting. And then 15 or 20 minutes will go by and I'll go, are you ready to go? I was waiting for you. No, I said I was ready to go in 3 minutes. Nothing changed since then. So what AI does sometimes is you have to be very explicit in order to get satisfactory results from a friendly companion that remains friendly.
Yeah. I'm laughing because that's so similar to, what happens here. My one daughter and myself were very, if you tell us we have to be somewhere at 10 a.m. or be ready to go at 10 a.m., we're ready to go at 9:59, right? Ready to go. And, at holidays, you're going to visit somebody and, my wife will say, okay, we're leaving at, 10 a.m. and we're ready at 9:59. And then we're sitting there going, people are just getting in the shower. And you're going,
yeah,
I thought we were leaving.
So so the agreement. Now, I'm not saying I'm good at this. I think we've managed to do it twice in 22 years with our son. Well, however long he had a device that had an alarm on it. But the ideal, this is where we have a nice robot that knows what the parents' intentions are and puts a reminder that sets the wake up time an hour before. And then the 15 minutes later, no, I really meant it. Wake up now. Beep, beep, beep. And then 10 minutes later, a shocker in the bed that zaps him out and pours cold water on him and has the fog horns. And then reminds him, no, I mean, put down the phone now. I mean, right now. I know it's important, but go take a shower. Right? But you got to have the cattle prod AI for our children. And I'm not sure if that'll pass who knows? Maybe in our new society, our brand new society we just started, maybe we can get away with it. But not that I'm aware of.
That's great. Yeah, that's what we need.
Well, more agents.
Yeah.
So what else you got that we've talked about so many things. I'm curious, Phil, about your perspective on books right now, because you've lived through lots and lots of media experiences. But tell me what you think about books, the importance of books, establishing credibility for people and brands.
Well, I think for brands, I mean, if you're calling yourself a brand, or like if I refer to Crunch Growth as a brand, I have a new book that I just it's being edited right now, and then it'll be out, and it's more about really my frustration with people not understanding how to sell to consumers today, right? They're just trying to do the same old, and not forming connections. Anyway, but I think too many people are pounding out books with no real purpose, and then they start pushing them out on Amazon or pushing them out digitally, and I think books have a purpose. I think people are always going to use books. I think people are always going to try and get information from the books. I think the information has to be useful, and it has to be focused, and it has to be real, true. You just can't make stuff up. But I find that audiobooks are far more frequently used than physical books, at least for mine. I get a readout every month from Audible, and I got far more usage from Audible than I did from people buying the physical book. I use the physical books. I give them away when I speak and things like that. But so I do think that books always have a place for building a personal brand. But I think it can destroy your credibility if you don't do it correctly. If you just think, okay, I'm just going to pound out a book and I'm going to walk around and tell everybody that I have a book. But the book has to have a purpose, and it somehow has to relate to you. So, you know, I try and stick to two topics when I write books. The only two topics I know, one is marketing and one is entrepreneurship. And so those are what I write about. But I do it sparingly, only when I have something to say. If I don't have anything to say, then I just write posts and and I do videos and I talk to people that way. Yeah, that's sort of the best I can explain it. But I do think that they still have value, but I think too many people are just pounding out bad content.
I agree. I have an observation. I learned this from Dan Sullivan, and you'll well, I guess it won't matter because this is for everyone watching, listening right now. But did I tell you about the consumption distinctions between the different medias when we were together? Because I got a couple fascinating insights. So here's a really interesting stat that I got from a friend of mine who's deeply studied this, and it's one of those when you hear it, you'll be like, yeah, that makes sense. You can number one, the time it takes for someone to establish a trust in a brand or an individual is an average of 7 hours 28 minutes now. That's how much content they will consume to make a substantive buying decision. And so you think about why long form podcasting is so important suddenly,
Right.
you know, why it flipped an election. Then, just as you said, so I'll give you the two contrast mechanisms. One of them is books, 60 pages or shorter, are read 80% of the time. Once you get to over 220 pages, it goes to single digits.
Wow.
And the buyer of a Kindle book is different than a paperback, is different than a hardcover book, is different than a podcast listener, is different than an audiobook listener. So we've been doing a little experiment, and I'll give you the links if you want, but I have just published all of my audiobooks as free podcasts. Now, someone might say, oh, I don't want that, but let me give you a mindset. Now, I haven't proven this, but it's another one of those when you hear it, you'll go, huh, I think you will anyway. It is this, okay? So Amazon's arguably the greatest storefront, at least in the Western world.
Sure.
And when you know that the majority of the people you want to reach will likely listen to a book before they read it. Statistically, that actually is true right now. And audiobooks are the most intimate form of communication because I can follow you into your bedroom, your bathroom, your shower, on your workouts with you. It's intimate.
Sure.
And I've for sure had people say to me, hey, I listened to your audiobook and that's why I'm here. And they'd convert into a client straight from that. So, but here's the stacked benefit of doing an audiobook is the data you get is a lot faster than Amazon because they batch it and they don't release it in real time.
Right.
But you can also insert ads based upon demographic, psychographic, location data on a timed basis with most of the platforms. So you can insert your commercials in your audiobook.
That I did not know. That I did not know.
Me either until I started hunting around. I'm like, damn, okay, I'm doing that. So we have just started publishing all the books for that purpose. And I'll show you one of them here. I'll show you an example. Yeah. So this is and I'll give you the link, and also admit to something. So I started making some of my books, the audio books. I started using a tool called 11 Labs. So I in the past, I've written all my own books, and I've also done my own audio books.
Yeah, 11 Labs is voice, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But Amazon now does AI detection because, of course, they got spam like crazy. So this link, which I'll give to you so you can share it, is my audio book. And then when you fill out the form and you request the book for free, and I'll pop it in here.
Yeah, send the link so we can put it in the description.
Yep. I'll definitely send it over to you. But what's cool is you can access the digital copy, and then what we send to you is also the audiobooks. So you get the digital right away after you opt in. There it is. But now we follow up and send the free podcast link. So now I don't have to worry about someone consuming, and it subscribes, and I can see the subscribers basically in real time.
Huh.
Okay. Yeah.
And so
Now-
where's the audiobook on
it'll
Audible?
come in the in this case, it's actually a podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So we deliver it as a podcast link, which is one click and boom, it's on all your devices.
That's great.
Yeah. How's that for a hack of the day?
That's a hack.
Good writer down there. Yeah.
That's a great one. But you're right about audiobooks because they can be intimate, and I think people, they take it with them in the car or wherever they go, and that's why they get so much more play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still think it's a great. The problem, what happened a couple of years ago, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
That sort of, I saw it as almost the end of. I thought at the time it was going to be the end of books. There was I guess it was about 3 years ago. There was an early entrant into AI called Jasper, and there was
I remember him well. Yeah.
Yeah, and there were some guys that were advocates and doing all kinds of things. And then there was a challenge on social media in the community. Can you write a book in a weekend? Get it published on Amazon. And these guys were sitting in their houses, pounding out a book on a weekend, ordering a pizza and pounding out the book and not sleeping, and then they get it and running. But I read a couple of them, and they had no purpose. And I think
terrible junk.
Yeah, if you're going to publish a book, you have to have a reason for doing it. You want to say something. It's not just about, okay, I wrote this book and I have my name on it and here, so.
Yes. So you want to see my hack on how to write a good book with AI?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna give you one of the best little stage tricks I've learned so far. So I'm gonna give you a choice first, which is, would you like to see your new video or the book first?
We have 5 minutes left. So
okay, great.
Which one?
We'll do the video first because, or we can exit on that because it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds long. So I'll do the 1 minute walkthrough of how to do books with Notebook LM, and we'll do it 1 minute long. All right, that'll get them excited.
That'd be fantastic.
We gotta keep them on the edge. Right?
Yeah, it's on the edge, buddy.
Right. So show the screen, and this is Notebook LM, which is free from Google, of course. And down here, I got a woman I know. Her name is Shelly Lefko. So what I started with was an audio course that she had. This could just as well be you and I. If Phil and you and I decided tomorrow to create a book, we could brainstorm together, use ChatGPT, and come up with 10 ways to use AI and technology to reach a bigger audience, get in more bedrooms, bathrooms, kitchens and workout rooms, create intimacy and connection that sells like crazy. Okay, that's a goofy ass title.
Sure.
But what I could do now is, now that I've uploaded this, I would add something like, I want you to examine this content and come up with a 10-chapter book outline based upon all of this content that will reach our target audience of parents with challenging kids.
Yeah.
Create something that is in the voice of the original author, Shelley Lefkoe. All right, so I hit enter, and once it creates the first 10 chapters from this entire body of work, and it will not hallucinate. That's what's great about it. So there it is. There's the first 10 chapters. And when I did this with her, I did it from stage. She was like, holy cow, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. It followed my content. Then I'd say, now I want you to write a standard New York Times industry length book chapter for chapter 1 that is 3,500 words long about all of this content, period. Open with an interesting quote from a well-recognized authority on this topic, and then tell a brief story, and then teach the core lesson, and then give the reader a call to action that will create impact in their life. All right. So
Great prompt.
it is. It is. And I learned that because I hung out with a multi-New York Times best-selling book author, Stephen Kotler, who's written a lot of bestsellers.
Yeah.
And here, not only did we get ourselves a nice book chapter that opens up with a Nathaniel Branden quote, tells a story about Sarah, and there's citations in here.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's referencing the citations. And if I'm happy with this, all I do at the bottom is say save to note. Boom. So you ready for your video? All right. Here we go. Here we go. I told you I'd do it. All right, here we go, sir.
Did you know I once offered baseball star Brian Wilson $1 million to shave his famous beard? He said no, but it put my razor company on the national map overnight. I also co-founded a skincare line with supermodel Carol Alt. Yeah, this guy! And I built and sold a restaurant chain before I was 30. I'm Phil Masiello, and I've built multiple seven-figure e-commerce brands from scratch. Now I help entrepreneurs like you do the same. When growing your e-commerce business, you could hire this Instaguru who promises overnight success but has never actually run a business. He's still living in his mom's basement.
All right, a little bit long in between. I
Or
tightened
this
it up.
big agency that will charge you 6 figures to tell you how many impressions you got while your actual sales flatline. They don't know what those words mean either. Or the one-trick pony who only knows how to do Amazon listings or Facebook ads. That's like hiring a personal trainer who only lets you do bicep curls.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah.
At Crunch Growth, we don't just give advice, we roll up our sleeves and execute. While they're chasing likes, we're chasing sales.
So that's all synthetic. Now we could let it go, and I can send you the full download. But from my point of view, not bad for a first run. It had a couple good punchy bits in it. Yes, it needs to be tight, but you can edit with text. You don't even need to.
Oh yeah.
That's profound.
I think it's great. And you know what's really funny about that, as I'm listening to it, is I do use that term. This guy's, in his mom's basement. He's giving, and it's picking it up from somewhere, because I use that term a lot.
I love it.
Anyway, I hate to do this, but we are out of time, and I had such a great time on this show.
Me too, Phil. You've done a great job.
really fantastic, man. I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate you doing that. It was really, really fun, and I'm sure that people have gotten a lot out of it, and they will continue to get a lot out of it as they watch it. So, but we are out of time, and everybody tune in next week. And maybe we'll have another Mike Koenigs episode in the future if he wants to come on, and we can do something similar again.
Thank you, sir.
All right, man. Thank you very much.
See ya.